The hallway was silent except for the sharp echo of footsteps. The sound cracked through the school corridors like a whip. Students gasped, turning to see what had just happened. Standing in the middle of the hall was Ms. Ramirez, the new English teacher, her cheek red from the stinging slap of one of the school's worst bullies, Tyler Briggs. The boy smirked, flanked by his gang of friends who roared with laughter. Everyone thought Ms. Ramirez would cry, break down, or run to the principal, but instead she stood still, calm, unmoving, her eyes narrowed not with fear, but with a quiet strength no one had ever seen before. Ms. Ramirez had joined Ridgewood High only a few months earlier. She was young, soft-spoken, and often mistaken for someone who couldn't handle the rough crowd. Tyler and his crew had made it their mission to test her patience. They mocked her accent, scribbled on the board before class, and sometimes threw paper balls when she turned her back. But today, they crossed a line no one ever imagined they would. A student slapping a teacher was unthinkable, yet it happened right before dozens of witnesses. The slap wasn't about anger. It was about dominance. Tyler wanted to show the school that he could humiliate anyone, even a teacher. But what happened next was something he hadn't counted on. Ms. Ramirez took a slow, deep breath. She looked him in the eyes, her voice steady as she said, "You made a mistake, Tyler. A big one." For the first time, Tyler's grin faltered. There was something different in her tone. Something dangerous. When he lunged forward again, trying to shove her shoulder, Ms. Ramirez moved so fast no one even saw it happen. 1 second his hand was out, the next he was twisted around, his arm locked gently but firmly behind his back. His knees buckled as he groaned in pain, completely caught off guard. Gasps filled the hall. The teacher, who always seemed so quiet and fragile, had just disarmed the school's most feared bully in seconds. "Martial arts," she whispered, releasing him and stepping back. "It's not for hurting people. It's for defending yourself and protecting others." Her voice carried down the hallway like steel wrapped in silk. The students stood frozen. Phones were raised. Every pair of eyes was locked on the woman who had just revealed a side of herself no one knew existed. Tyler scrambled to his feet, red-faced with humiliation. His friends backed away, suddenly not so confident without their leader untouchable. For once, the bully wasn't in control. But Miss Ramirez didn't stop with the physical display. Instead of letting anger take over, she did something no one expected. She turned to Tyler, her eyes filled not with hate, but with something far stronger, compassion. "I know why you act this way," she said softly, though everyone could hear. "Bullies are made, not born. You've been hurt, haven't you? And instead of facing it, you choose to hurt others." The hallway went quiet again. Tyler's jaw clenched, but his eyes betrayed him. For just a second, the tough mask cracked, showing the brokenness underneath. Ms. Ramirez continued, "I was bullied too. People thought I was weak because I stayed quiet. But I learned something important. Real strength isn't about who can hit the hardest. It's about who can stand tall without breaking, and who can protect others when no one else will." Her words cut deeper than any punch could. Students who once feared Tyler began to see him differently. His crew avoided his gaze, their loyalty shaken. For the first time, he looked small, trapped under the weight of truth. That moment changed the entire school. Word spread like wildfire about the teacher who unleashed martial arts skills no one expected, but more importantly, about the lesson she gave afterward. The respect she earned wasn't just because of what she did, but because of the way she carried herself, strong, wise, and unshakably kind. The following days were different. The bullies didn't dare step out of line. Tyler, however, found himself avoiding Ms. Ramirez. Shame clung to him like a shadow. But what no one knew was that she hadn't given up on him. After class one day, she called him over. He resisted at first, but her calm persistence drew him in. "You have energy," she told him. "Anger, frustration. But it doesn't have to control you. You can control it. I'll teach you, if you're willing to learn." Tyler scoffed at the idea, him learning from the very woman he tried to humiliate. Yet, deep down, something about her words pulled at him. Weeks passed, and slowly he began showing up after class. At first, just to prove her wrong. But eventually, he found himself listening, training, and for the first time in years, respecting someone. It wasn't easy. He fought against his old habits, his pride, his need to look strong. But Ms. Ramirez didn't give up. She pushed him, guided him, and taught him that martial arts wasn't about fists, but about discipline and respect. The more he trained, the less he felt the need to lash out. For the first time, he discovered strength that didn't come from fear, but from control. By the end of the school year, Tyler was no longer the boy who slapped a teacher. He had changed, not because she humiliated him, but because she believed in him when no one else did. And the rest of the school never forgot the day Ms. Ramirez shocked everyone with her secret martial arts skills. But more importantly, they remembered the lesson: true strength isn't in violence. It's in restraint, compassion, and the courage to stand up even when the world expects you to stay silent. The slap echoed through the hallway. For a moment, everything froze. The laughter, the whispers, the footsteps of students heading to class. Ms. Ramirez stood still, her cheek red from the sting, her hand at her side. Dozens of eyes were locked on her, waiting for her reaction. Tyler Briggs smirked, arms folded like a conqueror who had just claimed his victory. Pathetic, Tyler sneered, his friends chuckling behind him. You don't belong here, lady. You're just another weak teacher who can't control us. The students gasped at his audacity. A teacher had just been slapped, and he wasn't even afraid. Some kids pulled out their phones, recording. They thought they were about to witness another teacher humiliated by the school's toughest bully. But what happened next made history at Ridgewood High. Ms. Ramirez raised her chin slowly, her eyes locking onto Tyler's. Her voice, calm yet sharp, cut through the tension. You think strength is in your fists? Let me show you what real strength looks like. Tyler laughed and shoved her shoulder hard, expecting her to stumble. But in a blink, his laughter stopped. With a swift, controlled movement, Ms. Ramirez stepped aside, grabbed his wrist and twisted it behind his back. Tyler fell to his knees, his face twisted in shock and pain. The hallway exploded with gasps. No way, a student cried. Did you see that? Whoa, Ms. Ramirez knows martial arts. Releasing him, she stepped back with grace, her breathing steady. She didn't look angry. She looked powerful. Tyler scrambled to his feet, but the confidence in his eyes was gone, replaced by fear. You don't ever raise your hand to someone weaker than you, Ms. Ramirez said firmly. Martial arts isn't about hurting people. It's about protecting, control, discipline, qualities you clearly lack. Her words cut deeper than any move. Tyler stood frozen, fists clenched, but he couldn't find the courage to attack again. His gang backed off too, shaken by what they had just seen. For the first time, the untouchable bully was humbled, and by the very teacher he had tried to humiliate. The principal was called, of course. Normally, a situation like this would mean suspension or expulsion. But after reviewing the cameras, the truth was clear: Tyler had been the aggressor. Ms. Ramirez had only defended herself. Students cheered her name the rest of the day, whispering about her secret martial arts skills. But the story didn't end there. Days later, Ms. Ramirez sat alone in her classroom after school. She knew Tyler had been avoiding her. But she also knew something else. His behavior came from pain. She had seen it before in kids who wore masks of cruelty to hide their brokenness. Sure enough, Tyler appeared at her door. He didn't enter at first, just stood there awkwardly. Finally, he muttered, How did you do that? What you did in the hall?" She smiled softly. "It took years of training, discipline, self-control." Then her voice gentled. "Why do you want to learn?" Tyler scoffed, but his eyes betrayed him. He wanted it. For the first time, he had felt powerless, and he didn't like it. Ms. Ramirez leaned forward. "I'll teach you, but on one condition. You use what I show you to control your anger, not to spread it." He hesitated. The pride in him screamed to walk away. But deep down, the lost boy inside whispered something different. Slowly, he nodded. Weeks passed. After school, the classroom turned into a quiet training space. Ms. Ramirez taught him the basics: stance, breathing, balance. At first, Tyler was clumsy, impatient, constantly complaining. But Ms. Ramirez didn't give up. She corrected him, encouraged him, and pushed him past his excuses. One evening, when he finally nailed a difficult move, she clapped her hands. "See, you're stronger than you think. But strength is nothing without control. Remember that." For the first time in his life, Tyler felt proud, without needing to hurt someone else to feel it. His friends noticed the change too. He no longer shoved kids in the hallway. He no longer laughed when others were bullied. Some even drifted away from him, confused by his sudden shift. But Tyler didn't care. He had found something more powerful than fear: respect. Months later, when another bully tried to pick on a smaller kid, Tyler stepped in, not with fists, but with words. "Back off. That's not how we do things anymore." The school was stunned. The very boy who once slapped a teacher was now defending students. By the end of the year, Ridgewood High wasn't the same. And neither was Tyler. All because one teacher refused to stay silent, refused to back down, and chose to unleash not just her martial arts, but her compassion.